Welcome to Fantasy FOMO. For those new to the channel, we take a data-driven approach to fantasy football. Our goal is to reduce FOMO by making fast, fact-driven decisions. To stay up to date, like this video, click subscribe and the bell notification. Today we're going to have a look at our players' performance this year in comparison to how they've performed over the last 3 years. And the reason to this is try to identify those players that have increased their performance dramatically and infer, is this something that's sustainable? Or alternatively, those players that we need to jump off. So on screen, we just have two visualizations in ThoughtSpot, and I'm just going to expand this out, this one on the left. So this chart is showing us on the x-axis is the current average of each player this year. And we have it color-coded as well, which I'll touch upon. The y-axis is what is the change in number of points for this year's performance versus how that player has performed over the last 3 years. So the purpose is to try and understand, is this performance an anomaly, a breakout, or trying to understand is this a player now on the other side of the hill and maybe we need to jump off. So we're going to navigate this through player position. So on the right hand side, we can just see all the player positions. And let's have a quick look at all our defenders. So I'm just going to select the defenders. So both forward defenders, mid defenders, and ruck defenders. So we have a reduced data set. And what we see here is the purple area. So these players here have increased their performance in comparison to the last 3 years by over 25 points per match. So these are the players we probably want to consider. Are they going to be keepers, or do we want to get them into our side? Because this year is looking like potential breakout if they're able to sustain it. So let's have a look. So we can see here that George Hewitt, that has been one of the standouts. Obviously, still relatively well priced. He's been playing as as a midfielder, but you can select him in your back line. And we can see that the delta, so that's that first figure there, is 40.7 points. So in his points per match this year is about 120. So in his previous number of years, essentially George Hewitt was averaging about 80 points per match, and this year is 120 points per match. And obviously if he maintains this average, he's definitely going to be a keeper in the back lines. Although his value has gone up, it still may be a consideration for this week if you believe that George Hewitt is going to continue this. So we can see here 40 points differential. So by far the best improved player. Another defender, so this one's interesting. Jeremy McGovern really having a breakout year in comparison to his previous history of 3 years. And then he's currently performing at 120 points per match. And this is nearly 30 points above. So traditionally he'd only be at 90. So again, maybe someone to consider. So let's have a look at some of these other standouts. Nathan Broad. His current average is nearly 106, and again, nearly 32 points above his 3-year average. Daniel Rioli really starting to hit some form. So 97 points for this year, again 30 points above. So I guess traditionally he'd be, he's across his career, he's averaged about 67. So is this sustainable? Is this not? Now let's have a look at this final one here. And Nick Blakey, one of these younger players that is maybe getting to a better role in Sydney. So his current points per match is about 91, which is again 30 above. And if we just have a look at some of these breakouts, and this is the interesting one, maybe these are the type of players, especially those averaging above 100 points already, that we might want to consider. So we can see here Sam Doherty, back at 122 points per match, and across his whole career, this is an improved nearly 24 points per match. So probably a consideration that is he back to form, is he a keeper? Let's have a look as well. Jaden Short, so many did select him probably as your premium defender, and we can see that's being repaid. That his average this year is about 119, nearly 20 points up. So Jack Sinclair has benefited probably from a move into the midfield. So the matches today, it's 110 points, which is up nearly 24 points on his career. Is that a consideration to bring into the team? Shannon Hearn is another one, again having an awesome season today. Let's have a quick look at some of these. Aaron Hall, Dan Houston, and as we just go down a little bit under it, Marcus Adams. Let's have a look here at Hayden Young. So the other ones that are sort of around their delta but still might be worth considering is, it's interesting, Jordan Dawson. So, currently nearly 107 points per match, and it's sort of up 11, so that could be a consideration as well. Let's have a look at our defenders on the other scale of those that we probably should be jumping off. So especially those that are really starting to bleed. So let's have a look at this. So we can see Jack Henry currently his points per match is about 45. So that's about 26 points down on his career. Let's have a look what else. Robbie Tarrant. So these are all the players we want to stay away from. Dyson Heppel. So this year his points per match is 62, which is nearly 30 down. So traditionally averaging in that 90s. Something we really want to probably stay away from. Lockie Ash. Lukosius has had a terrible year. Liam Baker and Dane Rampy. So let's look at those in sort of like the warning category we might want to, consider. So we have here, so this is Jack Crisp. So he's, currently averaging 92 at the moment. Across his career, that is nearly 10.5 points down. So if this is one of your keepers, maybe that's, worth considering getting off, and that could well be maybe still moving to a Doherty or a Hewitt, where we can see on the reverse side of Cripps is obviously their performance. Let's have a look at some of these others. Caleb Daniel, currently this year is at 80, down 16.5 points. Lockie Whitfield's the big one. This year is under 80, which is down nearly 20 points. Let's have a look at some of these others. Harris Andrews, Jacob Wiedering, and the last two, Blixarves and maybe Zach Tui. So this is something to consider for the defenders. If you want to have a look at those players that probably should be in your side, or you really need to consider it. Jaden Short is having a great year. Sam Doherty, Jerry McGovern is a bit of an outside consideration, might be that player of difference, and George Hewitt. And on the flip side, I think this one here, Jack Crisp is really dangerous, and even some of these others, Daniel Rich, a little bit down as well, something to consider. And Lockie Whitfield's is, for me, that one. He's really dropped his average this year, and maybe is something we need to stay away from. So let's have a quick look now. Let's have it move to our forwards. So we'll just make a few selections here to bring in our forwards. So we want to get rid of the mid. So we get our forwards and our dual position players. So in a similar way, let's have a look at these players, starting with those that have really increased. So probably the two big ones is Tim English, that he's averaging this year nearly 125 points per match, which is nearly 30 up on his his history to date. So this could really be that breakout year where he becomes the number one player. And what's interesting as well, obviously, that ruck forward position. Isaac Heaney, again, his first few rounds have been outstanding. The biggest challenge with Heaney's always been, is he able to sustain it? So 123 points at the moment, nearly 34 points up on his season. Let's have a look at those emerging. Cornelio, nothing needs to be said there. Zach Butters, until last week where he got a bit of a knock, has been doing quite well. He's averaged at 102. He's up at 15 points. Let's have a look at some of the others. Luke Jackson, again, to date, he's averaging 101, which is nearly 30 up on where he has been. It's a bit of an outlier. Zeri, so he's averaging 94, up nearly 42 points. So options there. Max King is definitely having a breakout year. Saw some statistics that he's kicked the most 4 goals in a match up to this date in his career. Daniel Rioli obviously can play multiple positions. Let's have a look on the other side. Michael Walters, currently averaging 41 points, down 36. Jake Arts. Chad Wingard's a big one to stay away from, 52 points, down 32. Let's have a quick look at some of the others. Tom McDonald, Connor Rosie, and some of those with, otherwise, Radigalia, Banfield. So these are all the players we really don't want to stay near. Tom Hawkins currently averaging 87 points, down 12. So sort of an amber light going off there. Need to consider that. Who's this near him as well? Cy Bottom currently averaging 83. We're across his season career is down nearly 10 points and one more. Let's have a look at Jack Graham. So that's our midfielders. I think the big ones obviously English and Isaac Heaney you need to consider. And there's some of these outliers as well that's going to generate you a lot of money, which is Zeri, Rioli is an interesting one, Max King, and Luke Jackson are all worth considering. So let's now just have a look at our midfield division. So let's just have a look at our midfielders. I think I made all the selections. And again, some of these in the dual position players, let's have a look. So Lockie Neal is just having an outstanding year, really back to form. Currently averaging over 145 points, which is 26 above. Who else we got here? Travis Boak, for me, was a bit of a surprise. 146 points, 35. Can he sustain this? Who's this outlier here? Tom Green. So this is really a big mover. is this his breakout year? Currently averaging nearly 140 points, which across his entire career, this is up 55 points per match. So is this the breakout year? Is he going to be in that top 8 position? And obviously going on the current stats, he definitely looks like it. Can he maintain this form through the year? Let's have a look what else we got. Andrew Brayshaw is another one. First 3 games have been awesome, getting a lot of possession, especially last week. Can he maintain that? It's very tough to maintain that spot in that midfield. Paddy Cripps, again, just having a breakout to date. That 137 points for this year's average, which is nearly 45 up on his historical 3-season average. So again, can he maintain that? Ben Keys is interesting, really building on, I guess, his form last year, that he's relishing that move into the midfield, currently averaging 130, could be that player of difference. What else do we have? Let's have a look. George Hewitt, which we've talked about in defence. Matty Rowell, probably back to the form of his first few games, currently averaging 110, up 30 on his career. Lipinski, relishing that opportunity in the midfield. Who else do we have? Angus Brayshaw, so the Brayshaw brothers just really relishing. Will Brodie is that interesting one that I think many people have as that forward line player or forward mid. Currently averaging 89, so again, 25 points up. Can he sustain it? Patrick Naish, he's quite interesting. Is there an opportunity to still generate some cash there? So some of the others, just quickly, Brad Crouch, Matty Kennedy is sort of thereabouts. So who are the mids that we probably want to stay away from? If we look at, the high average of this year, so Jack Steele is down nearly 18 points per match. Is it a case of jump off him before he bleeds too long? He's sort of the lights are starting to flash a little bit on Jack Steele. Marcus Bontempelli again, 106 for the year, so still solid, but he's down 12 points versus some of the other premiums that you might be able to get cheaper. Let's have a look at some of the others here. Guthrie is down as well, nearly 15 points on his career. Jack Crisp, and again, this is, especially in the back line, is sort of a bit of a lights going off here. Liberatore, who else do we have? Taylor Adams. Let's look at some of the main ones here. So Tom Mitchell's a big one, has been a stalwart in Supercoach. This year only averaging 83, nearly 30 points down. Probably don't want to be anywhere near him. Dane Zorko, just not getting those opportunities at the moment, not capitalising on them. Currently averaging 83, down 20 points. Let's have a look. Joel Selwood's another one. Josh Kennedy, only averaging 65, down 28 points per match. David Swallow and Chad Wingard, again, we don't want to be anywhere near. So again, Lockie Whitfield shows up as a dual position player, and Lockie Hunter. So there's some big warning signs. Probably the two, Jack Steele, Bontempelli, and a third one here, Tom Mitchell, we don't want to be anywhere near. So really got to consider Steele and Bontempelli. Whereas obviously there's some great opportunities in potentially, are they able to sustain this and push into that top 8? So we've got Tommy Green, Patrick Cripps, Travis Boak's an interesting one. Obviously Lockie Neal's back, and Angus Brayshaw. So finally, let's have a quick look at the rucks. And let's have a quick look at what's going on here. So again, we've got Tim English. Obviously that ruck forward is a standout. Talked about Luke Jackson again. This other one is really taking that time in the middle from Max Gawn. I think we see that reflected in Gawn's points, that Luke Jackson's 101 for the year and up 30 points. And Lloyd Meek as well is still doing his thing. So he's up 87 points per match this year. This is up nearly 28 points across his career. Let's have a look on the other side. So this is the interesting one. This is Maxi Gawn. So he's still averaging nearly 100, but he is down 27 points to the year. And obviously this is where, his compatriot Luke Jackson is sort of taking that time. Let's have a look here. Brodie Grundy is starting to flag some warning signs. He's still averaging 107. He's down 10 points this year, so it's probably not one I want to be jumping off yet, but it might be worth considering. Let's have a look what else we've got. Rowan Marshall, again, still coming back, I guess, from all his injury issues, but this year only 83 points per match. He's down 20. How will that be affected with Ryder also coming into the team? Sort of area of concern. Todd Goldstein, and I think we can see that with Zeri taking time. So Goldstein is rapidly down. Really don't want to be anywhere near him. Let's have a quick look at these last couple. Ivan Soldo, Ned Reeves, and who's this here? Radigalia. They're probably some of those rucks that we don't want to look at. So that was this week. Just wanted to have, give the opportunity to show what the data is showing on how the players are performing to their this year average, which is his x-axis, and we've been doing that comparison to how they've performed across their last 3 years and what is the delta in points. That's it for me for this episode. So leave your feedback and questions in the comments below. If there's any specific plays you'd like me to analyse, then just please reach out and let me know. Please like, share and subscribe.